So let's get some insight and analysis into this debate over Speaker Pelosi's potential visit to Taiwan and the breaking news over the U.S. drone attack that killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. From California State Controller candidate Lanhee Chen and National Security Institute Executive Director Jamil Jaffer, thank you both for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with the speaker's visit in Asia and reportedly going to Taiwan as well. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says this. It says at this point, Mrs. Pelosi almost has to visit lest the U.S. appear to be backing down amid China's threats. That sign of weakness would encourage more Beijing brinkmanship, and it would echo throughout the region, especially with our allies in Japan and Taiwan. Lanhee, what do you say?
I agree completely. The idea that the speaker would not visit Taiwan, I think, presents a huge challenge and a huge problem given the positioning of the United States. Taiwan is a friend. They are an ally, one true form of democracy in the Indo-Pacific region. There is no doubt in my mind that the speaker should visit Taiwan. But more importantly, what we have to understand is that the rhetoric we're hearing from China, the rhetoric we're hearing from Xi Jinping, is really part of a positioning effort on his part. You know, he's got an election coming up in October. He's going to be running for re-election to be essentially a leader of China for as long as he wants. And what we're hearing from him, the rhetoric we're hearing from him, is really just political posturing. So in my view, this is the right decision. It's the right move. Speaker Pelosi should go. She should take lots of pictures and make sure that everyone around the world sees them.
Well, Jamil, what do you say to those who say this is unnecessarily provocative, that this administration needs to be very clear on where it is on the position in Taiwan, but sending the speaker, or not that they've sent her because they've had concerns, but the fact that she's going is making some type of pronouncement on behalf of the U.S.?
You know, Shannon, I think that's wrong. I think that the speaker's doing exactly what she should do, which is to go to Taiwan and visit. I think Lanny's exactly right. I think the problem really here is that the Biden administration has not been clear with China about the fact that they are fine with the speaker going, that they're going to defend her visit, and they're going to protect her at all costs. They've gone the other direction. They've actually backed off of it. They've suggested the speaker she shouldn't go. That's sending exactly the wrong message to the Chinese. It's saying the wrong message to our allies. And Lanny's exactly right. The speaker should go. The Biden administration should defend it and make sure she's well protected.
Well, we will watch over the next 24 to 48 hours to see how it plays out in that region. In the meantime, breaking news tonight that one of the men who helped mastermind 9/11, that he actually has been taken out. A drone strike over the weekend. It's something that folks across the political spectrum are celebrating, say it's not a partisan, it's a win for Americans. This is what the president had to say tonight, in part.
When I ended our military mission in Afghanistan almost a year ago, I made the decision that after 20 years of war, the United States no longer needed thousands of boots on the ground in Afghanistan to protect America from terrorists who seek to do us harm. And I made a promise to the American people that we continue to conduct effective counterterrorism operations in Afghanistan and beyond. We've done just that.
Jamil, I'll start with you on this one. The president is about to hit the one-year anniversary of the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan that resulted in, all kinds of destruction in its path. But again, 13 service members, American service members, died as a result of how that was handled. But he seems to be saying tonight, ultimately, we did the right thing. We were able to combat terrorism abroad, as we are doing without having so many boots on the ground there in Afghanistan.
Look, Shannon, the president gets credit for taking out Ayman al-Zawahiri. He did the right thing there, but he absolutely did the wrong thing by pulling out of Afghanistan, particularly in the way he did. And the idea that somehow this is a vindication for the over-the-horizon counterterrorism posture is just wrong. Yes, we did get Ayman al-Zawahiri, but we also got Osama bin Laden in a place we didn't have active counterterrorism operations ongoing on a day-to-day basis. So we've long known that we've got this capability, but the idea that we can stave off terrorism without being there is simply not true. It'll prove itself to be false over the long run, but in this case, the president did a good job. He took out Ayman al-Zawahiri. He should get credit for that. And frankly, the credit really should go to the 20 years of hard work of our men and women of the intelligence community and special operations and DOD who've taken this fight to the enemy for years on end. And we finally brought Ayman al-Zawahiri down.
Yeah, and it is great news for every American, and especially for those families who are still suffering from the losses of 9/11. Some small measure, hopefully, of vindication and comfort to them. The New York Times says this. They ask a question. They say the important question in the coming days will be what the strike means for the testy relations between the Taliban government and the United States. The U.S. claims that the Taliban violated a peace agreement by letting Zawahiri into the country. The Taliban claims the U.S. violated the peace agreement by conducting a strike. Laney?
Well, look, this was entirely predictable, and I think Jamil's asking the right question, which is what is the long-run play here? What does the long-run relationship look like between the U.S. and Afghanistan? What does the impact of the precipitous withdrawal mean not just today, but a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? These are the kinds of questions we have to answer, and given this relationship, this really very difficult relationship, as it should be, between the Taliban and the United States, one questions whether, in fact, in the long run, if we're creating additional havens for terrorists, additional places where they can hide, and frankly, additional work for us to do here in the U.S. in order to ensure that we keep the homeland safe, and that should be the ultimate goal. So, yes, this is a victory. There's no question about it. We should celebrate it, but let's not lose sight of the greater geopolitical question that needs to be asked.
Yeah, an anonymous ISIS member, by the way, is quoted in a Washington Post article tonight saying this, quote, "I'm sure Biden will try to make it sound as if it's something big, but actually it's not significant for us at all. The significant question will be who will become the new leader now." Jamil, how much of that conversation do you think will play out in the coming days? And listen, Al-Qaeda, of course, ISIS is going to want to gloat and say they're not a big deal to us, what happens to them. But it is a big deal because clearly the operations were still metastasizing around the world.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that this puts al-Qaeda leadership on the run, but they will select a new leader. It's likely to be Sirajuddin Haqqani, the number 3 in the al-Qaeda network, the leader of his own Haqqani network, and a member of the Taliban government. So it's obviously a sign that this is a potential problem for the U.S. government. In the long run, al-Qaeda will try to reform. They will try to regroup. They will try to conduct attacks in the United States against Americans around the globe and our allies, as will ISIS. And so we can't let the pressure up. Lanny's exactly right. We need to keep the pressure on al-Qaeda at all times. It's what's kept us so successful and kept us so safe at home for the last 2 decades, is keeping the pressure on. The president can't let his foot off the accelerator now.
Jamil and Lanny, thank you both very much for being with us tonight.
Thanks. Thank you, Shannon.